Lahib back to favourite, 7-2. Second set, 4-1. Exit to Nowhere, 5s. And from 5-1 to 11-2, Rudimentary, 8-1 bar.
There's number 1, second set. We were saying he's having his first run of the season, but he still looks pretty fit, I thought, in the paddock. You can see Lanfranco Dettori just giving him a stroke. This combination of Lanfranco Dettori and Luca Comani won this race, in fact, in 1990 with mark of distinction, of another very useful colt. Here we're going into stall 1. That'll be this side of the stalls. It's Freddie Heads going in nice and quietly on exit to Nowhere. Another look at Star of Gdansk. Another look at Willie Carson on Lahib, just backing away slightly from the stalls. He could be a very useful colt in the making, I think, this, John.
He's probably got a fair bit of improving to do still. A lot of these are quite exposed, but Lahib has had very little racing, only 4 outings. He's only won 1 of them. That was under extreme difficulty at Newmarket last year. He got a very bad run, got shut in. Looked impossible for him to win when he got clear, but he really flew in the last furlong and just got up to win.
It was a good run in the Lockinge too, because as you were saying, John, Selkirk, a very, very useful miler, and he made him go a bit that day. So, Lover Lock, waiting to go into stall 4, the filly. I think that's Steve Cawthon on Gufalek. We'll be going into stall 6. There's Pat Edry on Rudimentary. Rudimentary, a nice big horse. I think we'll see Pat just trying to drop him back out of the stalls. If he doesn't, well, he might pull too hard. That's Sykeston. He goes into stall 7 with Michael Roberts. Let's go to Peter.
And the winners of 34 races installed for the opener here at Royal Ascot, and they're running towards the right of the picture. Second set, coming over from the far side is Star of Gdansk, and Loverlock is taking him along. Loverlock, the early leader, towards the right, towards the rails. Sykeston, last year's winner, is second over on the outside. Star of Gdansk, they're being tracked by Lahib, and towards the right of the picture, Exit to Nowhere under Freddie Head. Sykeston and Loverlock, these two from Star of Gdansk on the far side. Rudimentary's pulled his way into 4th, just ahead of Lahib as they race down past the 5-pole. Loverlock, Sykeston, Star of Gdansk on the far side. Rudimentary has taken a good strong hold. Lahib on the far side. On the near side, second set is running well. Then comes Exit to Nowhere. Gufalek on the far side. The back marker at the moment is approached the bench. Closely grouped up front now. Loverlock, Sykeston, Star of Gdansk, Rudimentary and Lahib as they race down past the 3-pole. And Sykeston, last year's winner, has taken it up now. Sykeston from Loverlock. Lahib producing a run over on the far side. Rudimentary trying to get on terms. Being pulled out now is second set for a run as they come down now towards the furlong pole, and still wide open. Lahib over on the far side comes to take it up narrowly. Lahib and Willie Carson. Sykeston on the near side. Lahib and Sykeston. Sykeston now with the advantage again from Lahib, and second set putting in a great run on the far side. Second set on the far side. Sykeston on the near side. Lahib between horses as they race towards the line. Second set on the far side. It's going to be a photo. Lahib and second set in a photo. Lahib, for me, may have just won it from second set, with on the near side Exit to Nowhere and Sykeston right up with them. It's very close indeed between Lahib and second set for me. Lahib under Willie Carson, number 7, and second set under Frankie Dettori, number 1. It's very close indeed, this photo. For the opener, here comes the announcement by the judge of the horses involved in the photo. Number 1, second set, and number 1, Lahib. And that, of course, is announced in race card order. These two, Lahib, the 4-year-old by Riverman out of Lady Cutlass, owned by Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum, trained by John Dunlop and ridden by Willie Carson. And second set, owned by Mr. Richard El Duchessois, trained by Luca Cumani and written by Frankie Dettori. In a close photo, which I think Lahib may have got up and just won by a fraction in the dying strides of the Queen Anne Stakes.
Well, what a terrific race with which to start the Royal Meeting. Was second set a little bit unlucky. Frankie Dettori there, you can see, with yellow colours looking for racing room. Switches round Pat Edry in the orange colours here, while Willie Carson had a perfect position on the outside on Lahib, waits to make his challenge now. But it's last year's winner, Sykeston, who's the first to kick for home, and Michael Roberts just for a moment looked as though he'd pinched the race. Look at Frankie, who's had to go around 3-4 horses and finally makes his run, 3 from the left now on the outside of Lahib. At the furlong marker, Sykeston still has a length advantage over Lahib, and now Frankie's got into it and starts a run that looks as though it was going to carry him home. In fact, he definitely hit the front inside the final furlong. But still, with 100 yards to go, it's Sykeston in front. Now second set seems to have headed Lahib on the outside. The 3 almost in line, but just as he got there, second set showed himself perhaps to be a little bit racing rusty, and in the last 3 strides of the race, Willie Carson forces Lahib's head in front. That's the way it looks to us from second set second, and a desperately close thing for third, as you can see. Perhaps Sykeston just holding on to it. Now you can see how Frankie Dettori just hasn't had the best of runs on the, from having to go round the horses there. Frankie in the yellow colours with Rudimentary on his outside, and here he goes. He's just looking for that run, as you can see, between horses, and Lovelock and Sykeston. Lovelock drops away there. Well, Frankie realizes he's not going to get through there, so he switches to the outside of Rudimentary, but still sees Star of Gdansk in front of him, so he's not going to go through that gap, so he's got to switch to another gap, hopes to go through Star of Gdansk and Lahib. Willie Carson closes that one on him, and so now he has no option but to go round on the outside of Willie Carson and Lahib. Good bit of riding that by Willie Carson. Very good tactical riding, and as you can see, Rudimentary's had very, very little room indeed, and also Freddie Head on the rails there on exit to nowhere. Well, he's got nowhere to exit from, but he manages to push up the inside of Pat Edry on Rudimentary, and he gets a run up the inside of Michael Roberts as well on Sykeston. But meanwhile, the battle up front is between second set and Lahib. Second set gets in front, probably 5 strides from the line, but Lahib forces his head in front on the line to win a dramatic 4-horse finish from second set, with Sykeston finishing third and Exit to Nowhere fourth.
And this is Lahib, the son of Riverman out of Lady Cutlass, who was by Cutlass, winner of his second race in only 5 outings. Puts John Dunlop on the 23 mark for the season, and number 46 for Willie Carson, a previous winner of the Ritz Club Charity Trophy in 1980, 1983 and 1984. Cracking good run by second set, and a marvelous training performance this by Luca Cumani. He hadn't had a previous run, this horse, and Luca, who won this race in 87 with Then Again, and in 90 with Mark of Distinction, had him spot on for this test, and only just touched off by a very narrow margin in a really thrilling race for this opener, which the French haven't won since 1971, when Roi Soleil won under Jimmy Lindley, and the Irish haven't won since 1975, when Imperial March won under Gianfranco Dettori, the father of Frankie Dettori, who was runner-up this afternoon. The starting prices on the opener, the traditional opener, the Queen Anne Stakes, as follows.
First, number 7, Lahib, 100 to 30 favourite. Second, number 1, second set, 4 to 1. And the third, number 2, Sykeston, 20 to 1.
House 5 to 2, Lucky Lindy, 11 to 2 for 6 to 1, and let's go to Peter.
And they're running. Mile and a quarter this time, and Furious going on in the early stages. Furious going on, and they're getting a pretty good gallop too as they race already towards the mile pole, begin to run right-handed, and Furious taking him along at a very good gallop. Gussie Marlowe over on the far side, then Young Buster on the inner. Behind them comes Tell Cole, Tellerman and Coringa Bay, and Desert Sun's the back marker. Furious the leader from Gussie Marlowe, and behind them Young Buster. Behind Young Buster And running strongly is Tel Kell. Just behind Tel Kell is Lucky Lindy, then Karinga Bay and Terriman and Kuyonga, perpendicular. Then Opera House and finally Desert Sun. Passing the 6 furlong pole, Furious the leader from Gussie Marlowe and Young Buster and Kuyonga. Behind them come Lucky Lindley and Karinga Bay, and then comes Terriman with Opera House next and Kuyonga and perpendicular, and behind him Desert Sun, who's last of the 11, and Kurios as they race towards the half-mile pole. The leader still from Lucky Lindley, Young Buster in third. Behind Young Buster is Tel Kell on the outside, of on the inner Lucky Lindy. And racing into the home turn, still Furious the leader from Gussie Marlowe, Young Buster and Lucky Lindy in fourth. Just behind Lucky Lindy, Opera House making ground towards the outside. Terriman trying to get in a blow. Furious the leader because they come to the 2 pole from Young Buster, being pulled out now by Walter Swinburne. Coming there on the outside is Lucky Lindy. Young Buster's taken it up now, and here comes Kuyonga as they race down to the furlong pole. Young Buster the leader from Kuyonga for Allen, putting in a tremendous challenge. Young Buster and Kuyonga as they race into the closing stages. Kuyonga takes it up now from Young Buster, perpendicular, putting in a good run as they come to the line. Kuyonga's won it from Young Buster in second, and perpendicular in a photo for second, in fact, but probably third. Kuyonga the winner from Young Buster on the far side, perpendicular on the near side, and possibly a photo between those two. But no doubt that Kuyonga has rehabilitated herself, but there'll be an interesting camera angle to look at here to see whether Young Buster did get hampered inside the final furlong by the filly. We'll see that in the closing stages. Meanwhile, Kuyonga the winner in the photo for second between Young Buster and perpendicular.
Well, what a race and what a comeback for Kuyonga, and you can see she's only got about 3 behind her as she straightens up, with Thoria still going strong, Walter Swinburne cruising on Young Buster, Lucky Lindy flatters in the green colours, one from the outside, Terriman on the wide outside of the main group. Opera House didn't pick up at all, and look at the great split that Warren O'Connor gets on the nose-banded Kuyonga, who bursts through here as Young Buster hits the front a furlong and a half down, and for a moment looks sure to win. But then Kuyonga comes with this terrific challenge, perpendicular following through. Lucky Lindy nothing more to give, and now it's just courage that gets Kuyonga through, because she's going into unknown territory. She's never raced beyond 9 furlongs before, and she battles on to the line. Terriman on the outside, as you can see, running on, perpendicular, swishing his tail as he comes to challenge Young Buster for second place. But Kuyonga wins it for Ireland. There is a steward's inquiry, and very close to second between perpendicular and Young Buster. Terriman is fourth. Now we can look at the head-on picture and see, was there any interference? One from the left is Young Buster, the winner, coming through, as you can see there. On the outside is Lucky Lindy. On the outside of Lucky Lindy is Terriman. And perpendicular, the horse, as you can see, just one off the rails, is just behind Young Buster there, and his rider looking for room there. Warren O'Connor riding with his whip in his left hand. Now perpendicular pulls off the rails there, and is there any interference here? Perpendicular and Willie Rahn certainly seems to be short of room as Kuyonga drifts to the right under strong pressure from Warren O'Connor. The gap is closed, but it certainly looked from the side on as if Kuyonga was a couple of lengths clear as she drifted over the rails. She goes a little bit further over the rails and just gives a nudge there to Young Buster, as you can see. That was very late in the race, about 50 yards from the line, and Warren O'Connor straightens her out. So 2 possible pieces of interference there, but first past the post is very, very courageous filly, Kuyonga.
Kuyonga, a 9-to-1 chance, and a marvellous comeback by this filly, by Persian Bold out of Anjuli, by Northfields, and a fine effort by Michael Corns to get her back in this form, to enable Warren O'Connor to win honour again, as he did at the Royal Meeting last year. A marvellous moment for him. What the stewards, I imagine, will be looking at will be to see whether, to determine whether he did in fact impede young Buster in the closing in stages. Here's meanwhile, is the outcome of the photograph for second place. Perpendicular was second, young Buster was third. And Terriman was fourth. Well, that will be in, that photograph will be in young Buster, be in Kuyanga's favor, because she'd have been in a more hazardous position if young Buster had in fact obtained the photo verdict over Perpendicular. But Perpendicular officially second and young Buster officially third, Terriman fourth, and the starting price is as follows.
First number 4, Kuyanga, 9-1. Second number 7, Perpendicular, 20-1. And third number 8, Young Buster, 9-1. And the stewards, remember, are looking at the running of this one. Stewards and Razi, they've come pretty strongly here. 11-10 on the favourite. Rodrigo de Triano, 4-1. Against, of course, Azul, 11-2. Zahi is 8-1. Two of them on 25-1. Castadu and Brief Truce. 50-1 from 33s is River Falls, and it's 100-1 Beldy.
Well, 100-1 Beldy. Clive Britton's pulled a few of those off in his time. I just wonder. But they're on the far side in the colours of Sheikh Mohammed. Izarazi, I've watched him go down. He's like a piece of elastic. Whereas Rodrigo de Triano, as Tracy was saying, showing a little bit of an edge here. When he left the paddock to parade in front of the stands, there he is, the last of the bunch there. He took a fair old hold with Leicester. Leicester popped his head over the rails, got him settled down pretty quickly. Well, he's got him settled there, but you could just see that flick of sweat in between his legs, and I wonder if the Derby has taken its toll on him, and this comes a bit quick. Because Royal Ascot, in fact, is a graveyard for Derby horses. They sometimes come here, horses that run third and fourth, and run in the King Edward. And, well, they're made favourite, and that's the end of them. It takes them quite a long time. People don't really realise how much the Derby at Epsom takes out of a horse. They've eased down nicely. I've had quite a good look at them. John, what's your favourite?
Well, I'd have to go with the Razi, Jimmy. He's taken the parade very well. Rodrigo de Triano was already getting a little bit upset before even leaving the paddock, before the parade started. But Arazi's taken it all in his stride. Maybe the ground's a little bit on the fast side for him. Steve Cawthon riding him for the second time only. Didn't ride him in any of his races as a 2-year-old. Won on him in France. Didn't ride him, of course, in the Kentucky Derby. And the horse runs here in England for the first time today. He's got brilliant speed, so Steve will no doubt be trying to conserve that. Lester Piggott will be doing the same on Rodrigo de Triano. So really, this is one of the most fascinating races we've seen for years. Number 7, Rodrigo de Triano, getting quite warm. He should love the fast ground. They almost broke the course record in the previous race, so I'm sure the ground is riding fast. 4-1 from 7-2, a much bigger price than when the bookmakers opened up the betting on the race last week. They made both the two favourites somewhere near the even money mark, and Rodrigo de Triano right out to 4-1 now, as with both the horses having failed last time out, a lot of people are looking for one to beat the pair of them. Coming back to a mile from a mile and a half. Zahi, fourth in the French 2,000 guineas. He previously just got beaten by Jeune up at Thirsk. That looked disappointing at the time. He started favourite and was expected to win, but Jeune came and ran away with the predominant stakes at Goodwood. Zahi, having run fourth in the French Guineas, then won the Diomed Stakes at Epsom in very good style, beating Mysterioso who runs in our opening race tomorrow, the Jersey Stakes. Zahi is the best turned out horse. Ken Roberts gets £100.
And a brief postscript to the Prince of Wales Stakes. We hear that Warren O'Connor has been suspended 6 days for his riding of Kuyonga for careless riding and causing interference to young Buster, also for excessive use of the whip. Warren O'Connor banned for 6 days.
That's it. They're all in. And they're away. Rodrigo de Triano just dwelt a tiny bit in the stalls, and going on in the early stages, Zahi with Beldi in the early stages. Zahi on the inside of Beldi. Then comes Azud. Then Brief Truce on the outside. Castadou's just in behind. Then Rodrigo de Triano is the back marker. River Falls, 2 from last and 1 from last to Razi. And still Zahi making it from on the outside. Beldi tucked in behind is Azud. Big Truce on the outside. Castadou comes next, then Arazi, then River Falls, and then Rodrigo de Triano, the back marker, as they race now towards the 5 furlong marker. And Zahi still the leader from Beldi. Behind Beldi is Azud, and then Brief Truce on the outside. Castadou, then Arazi, River Falls, and Rodrigo de Triano. Half a mile from home now, and as they pass the half-mile pole, it's Zahi the leader from Beldi. Behind Beldi is Azud, then Brief Truce, then Castadou. Arazi poised just in behind Castadou. Rodrigo de Triano still last as they swing into the home stretch now with 2.5 furlongs to run, and it's Zahi the leader from Azud. Then comes Beldi on the outside, Brief Truce, Castadou putting in a good run. Arazi's been switched to the outside, Rodrigo de Triano also. It's Zahi in the lead over on the far rails. Here comes Rodrigo de Triano towards the stand side under Lester Piggott. Over on the far side, Zahi, but Rodrigo de Triano finishing fast on the near side. Zahi as they race up towards the line from Brief Truce and Rodrigo, and Brief Truce and Zahi have passed it together from Azud and Rodrigo de Triano and Arazi. It's a photo finish between Zahi on the far side and Brief Truce on the near side. A dramatic climax to this St James's Palace Stakes, with the judge calling for a photo between Brief Truce, number 3, owned by Moyglaire Stud Farms, trained by Dermot Weldon Ireland and ridden by Michael Kinane, and Zahi, owned by Sheikh Hamdan Al Maktoum, trained by Tom Jones and ridden by Richard Hills. And these two have ultimately distanced the remainder, with Azud probably just third ahead of Rodrigo de Triano, who came with a run towards the stand side, but who petered out very quickly inside the final furlong.
I was very pleased with the way my horse was. He'd worked very well last week, and he's a lovely colt. He's an improving horse, and I said, if you're not in, you can't win, and we'd have a crack.
But he had, what, 2.5 lengths to make up on Rodrigo de Triano on the Irish Guineas form, and I suppose the blinkers must have helped you a bit.
Yes, but my colt is an improving horse. We had a wet spring in Ireland. He'd been running in yielding ground. He improved well to win the Gallinools, again on yielding ground, and got his ground today. He's improving, and I thought Rodrigo ran an excellent race, but you must remember he's been to Epsom.
Well, it was a terrific race to watch, and you must have been on your toes when they came past the 2, and you've come with a great chance here to win.
Yes, that's exactly the way we planned it. Michael always wanted to sit handy, and that's what he did. He was in the ideal position to challenge, and it was just a question of whether he was going to get up here. The only reason I put the blinkers on the colt is just he's a lazy, laid-back horse, and I just wanted to sharpen him a little bit, and I think that's just what it did for us.
He's needed the last stride to win, and of course his last run was 1.25 miles, so he stays well.
Yeah, he does. He wants every yard of a mile. I suppose really 1.1 miles is his optimum distance, but an Ascot mile is a stiff mile, and he's put up a superb performance today.
Well, you've got a great jockey in Michael Kinane, and a lot of people have been trying to get him off you, but I should think at moments like these, he's pleased that he stayed with you.
Yeah, Michael and I have had a great relationship. We've won a lot of races, a lot of big races all over the world, and I enjoy having him, and I think he enjoys riding for me. Michael is a beautiful hands and heels rider, and most of my horses are ridden that way. He had to give that horse a crack or two to win today, and the stewards are asking him about the use of his whip, but I'd like to say Michael has never, to my knowledge, been suspended for use of the whip, and he's just a very strong, good and brilliant rider.
Well, I can tell you that they have accepted his explanation of his use of the whip, so no action will be taken. And of course, Dermot, you've won a classic race in Europe already this year.
Yes, we won the Italian Derby 2 weeks ago, and our horses are running extremely well.
Where do you think you'll go with this fellow now?
Well, Julian, today was the day. And it'll be hard to better today when you beat two of the best horses in the world in Arazi and Rodrigo. But, you know, we'll give him a rest, we'll review it, we'll look at the Sussex Stakes, and we'll look at the Breeders' Cup, obviously, later in the year.
Iron Glass and So Factual and Tardid on 5-1, but it's very open betting. Petardia 11-2 from 5s, Shable 7-1. 8-1 is Pip's Pride, 10-1, and drifting way out is Geisway. New Capricorn 12s, Friendly Brave 40-1, same price as Kanaska Star, and it's 100-1 bar. And there are 4 favourites now.
Number 3, Friendly Brave, is the best turned out horse. Christopher Webb, who looks after him, gets £100. Friendly Brave was only third to So Factual at Folkestone, obviously ran a good race, but hard to see him reversing the form.
Richard Quinn goes into stall 10. Richard having quite a good season, 36 winners so far, and he's getting on quite a lot of the good Paul Cole horses. That's number 10, So Factual, going into stall 4. By known fact, very much like his sire. If we see him in the enclosure, we'll have a good look at him. Iron Glass is 5-1 from 9-2 now. So Factual, we just seen 5s from 9-2. Tardid at 5-1 from 9-2, and Petradia at 5-1 from 11-2. Petardia, I should say. Number 11, Tardid, he goes in nice and quietly. I think most of them are in, they go in together. Let's go to Peter.
That's Petardia nearest to us, that's it, they're all in. And they're away. Petardia breaks fast towards the right of the picture. Pip's Pride up there with them also early on. Pip's Pride and Petardia. Tardid showing good speed. Also in the centre showing good speed is New Capricorn. Right over on the far side is Ard King Glass with Kanaska Star. Kanaska Star shading that lot on the far side. Shebel up there with Pip's Pride on the near side. And also Petardia towards the near side. Geisway in the centre. Kanaska Star on the far side. Just about the overall leader now as they pass the 3 furlong marker. Kanaska Star just about the leader from Friendly Brave showing well on that side to Art King Glass. Pip's Pride towards the near side with Petardia in the sheepskin noseband. Petardia now towards the stand side under Walter Swinburne, who was so unlucky on Young Buster, has just taken it up, but here comes So Factual and Pat Edery. Over on the far side, Art King Glass, Tardid nowhere near them, and it's Petardia from So Factual as they race into the closing stages. Petardia in the centre, So Factual on the near side, So Factual and Petardia, So Factual and Petardia, it's going to be close between them. Petardia and So Factual in a photo. Petardia may have just won it. Pip's Pride and Art King Glass were in a photo for second and third and fourth, I should say, and Geisway just in behind them, but this is very close between Petardia on the far side and So Factual on the near side. Petardia, number 7, under Walter Swinburne, and So Factual, number 10, under Pat Edery.
Yeah, what a race, and terrific early pace. Paul Kellaway's Canasta Star on the far side was the fastest early. Friendly Brave, two from the left, 3 from the left, right there. But now Petardia with the noseband comes with a surging run on the stand side, followed through by Pat Edery and the pink colours, who had it all to do on So Factual. Guy's Way and the Budge colours also there, and the yellow colours there of Pip Pride just dropping back to 4th or 5th place. And Ardkin Glass, one of the last to challenge on the far side. Now the big three come clear. Petardia in the centre with the noseband. So Factual asked for everything by Pat Edery on this side. Ardkin Glass, Guy's Way trying to get back into it, and Pip's Pride hanging in there in the yellow, in fact coming back at the leaders, having just faltered at the furlong marker. But now it's a two-horse race. Petardia and So Factual. Can Pat get So Factual there? Guy Harwood, it looked 50 yards out as though he was going to get there. Look at the way he sticks his head out, sticks it down. But then Walter Swinburne rallies Petardia in the last few strides, desperately close at the line, couldn't possibly separate them, just might be Petardia, and a close thing for third with probably Pip's Pride third. Well, you can see how much Pat Edery had to do. That's him in the pink cap there, right behind horses there, and Walter Swinburne, one from the right, that's Petardia. And these are the two principals at the end of a hugely competitive Coventry Stakes. And Pat Edery is just a little bit taken off his feet early on, and he has to switch round. There isn't a gap there between Willie Carson and Walter Swinburne, and so he has to switch. And anyway, he's Jimmy Lindy tells me that the horse is best ridden that way, although in fact he made running at Folkestone, but that's the way that Pat's ridden him today, and very effective it's proved. And looking left to right, you can see Ardkin Glass on the left, Kanaska Lad just dropping out, Guy's Way and the Budge colours, yellow colours of Pip's Pride, who's run on so well, needed all of the 6 furlongs, ready for 7 probably, the noseband of Petardia, and Pat Edery throwing everything in on So Factual. Petardia just drifting a little bit to the right in the last 50 yards of the race. Pat Edery's mount running really straight to the line, the son of Known Fact. And at the line, who is it? Desperately close. And Willie Carson's mount running on in third. Pip's Pride getting back at the leaders. And the first 5 clear. The Irish Colt dropped out pretty rapidly.
Still awaiting the outcome of this photo between number 7, Petardia, the 5-to-1 co-favourite, and number 10, So Factual. This is he coming in now, went off at 11-2. Very like his father, this So Factual, hitherto unbeaten by Known Fact. Guy Harwood waiting anxiously to hear if he's repeated his 1980-81 success in this race with Recitation and Red Sunset. And Jeff Ragg waiting to hear whether he's been compensated for the luckless defeat of young Buster in the Prince of Wales. It's very close between these two. Petardia by Patong, out of Water Pet by Mummy's Pet, unbeaten before this race, like So Factual. Bookmakers asking for odds of 3-1. And still bet 3's on either of them. And here comes the outcome. First number 7, Petardia. Second number 10, So Factual. Third number 8, Pip's Pride. And fourth, number 1. So 3 unbeaten colts are first, second and third, and the result, first number 7, Petardia, racing in the colours of Moller's Racing, trained by Jeff Ragg and ridden by Walter Swinburne. Second, number 10, So Factual, owned by Mr. Khalid Abdallah, trained by Guy Harwood and ridden by Pat Edery. And third, number 8, Pip's Pride, owned by Mrs. V.S. Grant, trained by Richard Hannon and ridden by Willie Carson. Fourth was number 1, Ardkin Glass. So, sweet compensation this to Walter Swinburne, whose father, Wally, won this race on Marshall back in 1959, whereas Walter won it more recently in 1987 on Always Fair. Petardia, the winner of the 1992 Coventry Stakes. The starting prices as follows.
First, number 7, Petardia, 5-1 co-favourite. Second, number 10, So Factual, 11-2. And third, number 8, Pip's Pride, 8 to 1.
Well, by the time the King Edward VII Stakes came along, jockey Steve Courson was having a disappointing day. This time his ride was on the unbeaten Peto, trained by Henry Cecil, who started in modest company at Pontefract, but was now the best-backed horse of the day at 7 to 4.
Peto from Bonnie Scott, Alflora, Baton, Jearn, Sunseeker, Thaya, then Surf being pushed along, Alpha, Colorific, Sonus, and now Bardi is last. 2.5 furlongs out and stay straighten up, and Peto the leader under pressure now, and Bonnie Scott and Baton have come to challenge. Alflora on the inside, then comes Thaya, and it's Baton who's quickened up to take the lead from Michael Kinnan. Alflora running on to challenge Peto for second. Thaya coming on the outside with Bonnie Scott. Jearn is coming late, but Baton the leader from Alflora in second. Then Jearn is third, but Baton is going to win it as they run up towards the line. Baton is going to win it with Jearn going on to be second. Baton wins, Jearn second, Alflora third. Sonus runs on to be fourth, ahead of Alphard.
Baton the winner at 12 to 1, Jearn second 9 to 2, third Alflora at 16 to 1. So another disappointment for Steve Courson, but the winner was completing a 337 to 1 double for jockey Michael Kinnan.